This is why polar bears are the most dangerous bears. Polar bears are the iconic symbol of the frozen north. Big, strong, relentless, and tough, they survive and thrive in the face of nature's most extreme environments, in the face of ever-increasing human environments. For these bears, surviving such a tough life has required them to be even tougher, and the result is an animal that is as ruthless and brutally violent as any other in the world. This is where today's video comes in, as we look at all the reasons why the polar bear is thought of as the most dangerous bear around. Let's get rolling. Ice King. The polar bear, or Ursus maritimus, is a member of the bear family Ursidae, along with the other 7 extant bears. It is further classified under the Ursus genus and is most closely related to brown bears. These ice bears have been around for at least 130,000 years, but some scientists are convinced they split from the brown bear line around 150,000 years ago. Recent studies in 2012 and 2022 have suggested that polar bears have walked the Earth for 500,000 to a million years. Unfortunately, despite their fairly restricted range, fossils are quite hard to find, which makes their evolutionary history far murkier than other bears. However, the picture is expected to get clearer as genetic study technology improves over time. Speaking of range, where exactly do polar bears live? Well, in simple terms, the Arctic Circle and nearby areas. Bears are found in the Arctic regions of North America, Europe, and Asia. That means you can find them in Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Russia, and parts of northern Norway, like the Svalbard archipelago. Movement within these ranges can also be increased or decreased depending on the presence of pack ice and ice islands the bears can swim to and from. They seldom venture further south than Canada's James Bay or Alaska's Pribilof Islands, and they occasionally find themselves in Iceland when the sea ice can facilitate going there. The north is their home, and they would struggle to fit in anywhere else. With their snow-white coats and insatiable appetites for blubber, no other region in the world could support them, and the bears themselves are so specialized to their native domain that they would not know where to begin in a mountain forest or a tropical jungle. Even their built-in winter protection measures would make them burn up in the warmer environments of the south. As a result of its delicate ecological needs, the polar bear is one of the most protected animals as far as conservation efforts. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature, IUCN, lists the ice bear in the vulnerable tier because of its slowly dwindling habitat range. This range is reducing because of human encroachment, human activity effects like pollution or overfishing, as well as natural factors like climate change. Conservationists estimate that between 22,000 and 31,000 polar bears are living in the wild today. Of course, the polar bear's icy kingdom is not the only thing unique about them. They are also the only bear species that is pretty much a full-time carnivore all year round. As a whole, ursids are generally regarded as omnivores because most species live on plant-based foods like fruit, roots, grasses, and vegetables as much as, if not more than meat. Black bears and brown bears, for instance, are famed for their love of berries. Some species, like the bamboo-loving giant panda, are almost full-time vegetarians, but not the polar bear. It is the only bear that is constantly on the hunt, which makes sense given the scarcity of bear-supporting plant life in the Arctic Circle. Their primary prey is seals, though they also go after small whales, fish, birds, reindeer, and any other animal unlucky enough to get caught in their fearsome clutches. If kills are hard to come by, they will scavenge carrion and even raid people's trash cans and dump sites. Their menu can also extend to other bears, polar or otherwise. That's right, cannibalism is not taboo in the polar bear world. Adult males are the biggest perpetrators of this, as they frequently kill and eat other male bears' cubs to drive females into estrus. In fact, adult males are the main threat to bear cubs in the wild. Polar bears will also not hesitate to pursue livestock or pets left in vulnerable positions. Huskies, the famous working dogs of the frozen north, have been hunted by bears since time immemorial. And don't think that humans are safe either, because they are not. Given their often remote ranges, many polar bears don't have enough human contact to know they should be wary and avoid us. Instead, Polar bears are known to actively stalk and follow humans in a predatory manner. Luckily, though, attacks and fatalities are extremely rare. So, now that we have a clearer understanding of the polar bear, let's look at some of the factors that make it such a formidable and dangerous creature. Size. We've said it before and we'll say it again here. Size matters in the animal kingdom, and in most cases, the bigger the better. Polar bears understand this perfectly, which is why they are the biggest bears alive today. In fact, the polar bear is the largest land carnivore alive today, far outsizing the biggest big cats and dogs. Sexual dimorphism favors males, which can be more than twice the size of females. Male polar bears range between 6.6 and 8.2 feet in body length and between 660 and 1,760 pounds in body weight. Females weigh between 330 and 660 pounds and measure from 5.9 to 6.6 feet in body length. When on hind legs, polar bears can stand up to 12 feet tall, which is quite an intimidating sight. The only other bear that can match these insane numbers is the Kodiak bear, a subspecies of brown bear from Alaska's Kodiak archipelago. These bears grow to extraordinary sizes because of constant access to juicy coastal salmon and a phenomenon known as island gigantism, where a lack of predators and ideal conditions allow animals to reach larger sizes than their mainland relatives. At their heaviest, which is during the pre-winter bulking period, male Kodiaks can reach 1,600 pounds, which is huge. However, they lose a lot of weight during winter and hibernation, which means they have a lower average weight than polar bears. Polar bears' weight also fluctuates a lot throughout the year, sometimes by as much as 50%. However, as a whole, they don't lose as much weight as brown bears because most polar bears stay active and hunt during the winter months. Only pregnant females go into hibernation, which is unique among bears in places with harsh winters. In comparison, all brown and black bears hibernate to some extent during winter, which is a major reason their average weights are lower than the polar bears. Because of this tremendous size and weight, the polar bear is one heck of a unit. Its bulk alone is a clear message that this is not an animal to be trifled with. Athleticism. While it's easy to think of polar bears as clumsy, lumbering lunks because of their size, they are not. In fact, like most ursid species, polar bears have a remarkable degree of athleticism. Speed is one aspect of this. These ice bears can reach speeds of 25 miles per hour in the snow. That's only a couple of miles per hour behind Usain Bolt on a perfect professional racetrack. This speed is in short bursts, to be fair, but it's more than enough to run up to a giant seal or run down a human. And if you think fleeing into the water is a good idea, think again. The bears can swim all day and all night looking for pack ice housing prey. They can keep a sure and steady pace for dozens of miles at a time, and they have been documented making voyages hundreds of miles long. Without some sort of vehicle or solid shelter, there would be no way a person could escape an ice bear. Another major aspect we have to talk about is the bear's power. Polar bears are tanks with very dense skeletons that are set up for brute strength. Above that is a musculature that provides the horsepower. This combination means polar bears can easily lift and manipulate weights of almost 1,000 pounds. These beasts also have prominent shoulder hump muscles that provide extra power to the front limbs. They can roll walruses over or crack ice sheets several feet thick with relentless pounding. In battle, the bear pushes and swipes with his paws, delivering blunt force trauma and shredding flesh with formidable claws. The neck muscles can absorb heavy blows from other bears or haul prey out of the sea. The rump and leg muscles are the heart of the animal's surprisingly quick acceleration. They also allow the bear to stand up and extend its reach. It's also impossible to ignore the bear's powerful jaws and teeth. Its 3-inch canines rip through flesh with ease. The jaws can generate 1,200 pounds per square inch of bite force, the most of any living bear species. This awesome bite power allows them to crush bone and access nutrient-rich marrow. Speed, strength, and stamina always make a winning formula, and the polar bear has them in spades. Intelligence. Another easy mistake to make is thinking that polar bears are just big dumb brutes. Nope. These animals are sharp as tacks. And what makes them even more dangerous is that they combine the opportunism inherent to all bears with specialized predation. They couldn't have survived the stingy Arctic for so long without being able to read the game. Ice bears understand their prey's weaknesses and environmental cues like wind direction. They can study seal ice hole fields and work out favored holes in a pop the weasel style of hunting. They also know how to attack seals just as they land on the beach or ice, exhausted after a long migration or hunt. This move dramatically increases their odds of making a kill. Additionally, like many other predators, the bear can weaponize camouflage. It's hard to think how a nearly 2,000-pound giant can be stealthy, but the reality is very surprising. The bear's white coat is a useful trick during the day and almost an invisibility cloak at night. This clever use of strategy is the best way to make the most of the bear's already dangerous size and athleticism.